Woo! We are live. I am spilling the tea. What is going on? It's your girl, Rachel Luna. I am the host of the Permission to Offend podcast. And I have not done a live stream on YouTube in forever and 16 days. I'm clearly not appropriately attired for YouTube. But we had to go live here because Instagram is down, Facebook is down, the sky is falling, and I promised that I was going to give you some tea about Teachergate, and I'm also going to announce the winners of the Permission to Be Worthy book giveaway. Look at all these things that I'm giving away today. So do me a favor. If anybody is live with me, I see nobody live. Well, I also did start a little early, so I'm going to wait a few minutes to see if anyone actually shows up. I don't even know how to use chat. Chat. Okay, close. Okay, if you're watching live, can you put something in the chat so that I know that you're here? I don't like this. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like this feeling. I don't like this talking to myself business, although most of my IG stories are me talking to myself. But you know what it really is that I know that when we actually publish this, somebody's going to be watching. And I hate when I am watching someone's live stream and it's taking forever for the live streams to get started because they're waiting for all the people to jump in. Like, I hate that part. So I'm just going to do what I do, and I'm going to act as if someone's already here and we're going to go. So, first of all, as I said, my name is Rachel Luna. I am the award winning #1 best-selling author of the book Permission to Offend, which is available in paperback, in hardcover, and in Espanol. So, shout out to Permission to Offend. I'm also the host of the Permission to Offend podcast. And I'm known as Girl Confident over on Instagram. Every Tuesday, I do something that I call Testify Tuesday. And this is where I give God the glory for supernaturally healing me from triple negative breast cancer within 30 days. And I love sharing that story. That story is recorded in multiple places. So if you want to hear about it, hey, Sandrita, I see my friend in the chat. So if you want to know more about that story, leave a chat and I'll give you the link for that. Today's Testify Tuesday is going to be a little different. And then I'm also going to announce the winners of the Permission to Be Worthy giveaway, which is where you will win all these books. So here's what happened. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me, see me. I see some people are joining. All right, so here's what happened. Since the beginning of the year, my youngest daughter, has been telling me that she's having trouble in math. Now, the thing you should know is that my daughter is gifted, and so she's in all these advanced classes, and not once, not ever has my daughter ever had a problem with a teacher. In fact, this is the first time that she does not care for a teacher. All the other teachers, they've been fantastic. So when she started saying to me, I don't like my teacher, she's mean, I thought, oh, fine, kids, no problem. But here we are, almost at the end of the school year, and every other day, my daughter is telling me that she's had a bad day. She's had a bad day. Sorry, my housekeeper is here, and this seems to be the perfect time for vacuum cleaning. The minute I go live, it was quiet as a church up in here. Anyway, the vacuum is going to get closer to me, by the way. It's coming. Here it comes. Anyway, so a couple of months ago, I said to her, honey, why don't I meet with a teacher? I have a parent-teacher meeting and see what's going on. Oh, good. You can't hear the vacuum. And she was like, no, mommy, please. That'll just make it worse. And I said, okay, because I don't want to be that parent that is like, well, I'm going to go up in there anyway and be real Puerto Rican about it. Like, I don't want to be that girl. So finally, at the end of middle of last week, she gets in the car and she's like, I had a bad day, mommy. She actually asked me, to come and pick her up from car riders first. I usually pick her up second. It's the whole thing. So she had texted me, please come pick me up first. I had a bad day. She didn't want to be picked up from school early, but she wanted to not have to stay in homeroom waiting for me. And the homeroom teacher is also this math teacher. Okay. So, Sandra, for real, I was about to get real. Anyway, let me tell you the story. Let me tell you the story. So, when she came in, I was like, "Babe, please, I have to say something. I think it's time that I reach out to the teacher." And when my daughter looked at me and said, "Okay," I knew something had to have gone down, because this is a kid that does not like to draw attention to herself. She's nothing like her mother. Whereas I'm like, "Look at me, everybody. Let me do a little dance for you. I'm here to entertain." She is not. So when she said to me, "Mommy, yes, please send a letter," I said, "Bet, preparámonos. Let's go." So I say, tell me exactly what happened, because I do believe that if you're going to call someone to court, you need to have evidence. You need to have your case built. So she tells me whatever, whatever. Now this is where I was wrong. My email to the teacher, and if you were on Instagram stories, you saw this part, but I want to give the background for everyone else, because it actually went down. I'm getting ahead of myself. The email, and this is where I was wrong. I said, "Dear Miss So and so, I understand that you have a problem with my child." I shouldn't have said that. I should not have said that, but I couldn't help it. Okay. So, as a matter of fact, I feel like I should show it to you. Okay, here we go. Response requested. Um, I understand you have an issue with my daughter. I would appreciate the opportunity to have a face-to-face meeting with you this week to discuss. Regrettably, she has another doctor's appointment tomorrow and will not be present for your class. Do you have any availability Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday? I look forward to your prompt response and for a positive solution concerning my child. Have a lovely afternoon. Respectfully, Rachel Luna. Could my tone have been better? Yes. Because if you have a copy of my book, Permission to Offend, then you know that for me, I really preach and teach the power of being the empathetic offender. That means showing up in your truth, but not being rude or disrespectful. At my first line here, I understand you have an issue with my daughter. That was all wounded offender, because I was hurting for my baby. That was all wounded offender. If you don't know the offender archetypes, that's in right here in this book, Permission to Offend. Maybe we have time to get into that, but let's continue, because I want y'all to know what happened. Okay. So then she writes back, "Miss Luna, I'm really surprised by your email. As far as scheduling a conference, teachers do not schedule the conferences. I will request the CRT." So someone else had to get involved. Fine, fine, fine. So someone else gets involved. Then I respond, "Good morning, Miss." The initial of her name is B. How perfect. How perfect. I'm not going to say why, but some of you can infer. "Thank you for your prompt reply and for coordinating efforts with Miss Swager to Miss Swager is the CRT. She's cool. We have nothing against her. I'd let it slip or whatever. I've CC'd her on this email to loop in. My understanding is that you've exhibited a pattern of belittling and singling out of my child. There have been numerous occasions since the beginning of the school year in which my daughter has come home feeling defeated, dejected, and embarrassed by your indiscreet comments in class. I've been wanting to have a conversation with you for months, but she begged me not to for fear that you would single her out even more. However, yesterday was the last straw. When my child consistently says, 'I had a bad day, Miss B said such and such,' followed by some cruel comment or apathetic response by you at a child's request for help, something has to give. I understand perception isn't always reality, and there's a chance my daughter may be misinterpreting your teaching style. This is precisely why I'm requesting this meeting. Let's get to the bottom of this and see how we can turn the rest of the school year around. My child is a very bright child who has all A's and B's, but is failing in your class. The math, quite frankly, isn't adding up." Thank you again. By the way, this is a math class. Now, could my tone have been different? Yes. This email, I would say that this email is right on the cusp, the borderline of wounded offender an empathetic offender. Like there was a lot of empathetic offender in there, but that wounded Rachel Rodriguez was like, let me out. Let me out and let me light this woman up because well, we're not okay. But no, the empathetic offender says, sit down, let's handle this with maturity. Like my mom used to say, con calma y paciencia se resuelve todo. With calmness and patience, everything can be resolved. Okay, so I think they could not accommodate me last week. The meeting was yesterday morning. Now, today I look a little thrown down. I don't know if it's the lighting. I don't know what. I don't know where these dark circles are coming down, but today I look a little thrown down. But yesterday I was looking very correct. I did my hair, I put my makeup on. I had perfect, like I was ready to go somewhere. Okay. A shirt, a nice classy top, long A-line skirt, heels, stockings, hosiery. Is that the way how you say it? Hosiery. Because listen, I am light skinned, but I'm a melanated woman of color and I'm Puerto Rican and I know the perception about my people. And I have been treated in the past from that lens. People have made a lot of assumptions because of the way that I look. In fact, I remember one time I was dressed down, kind of like casual, and I went to the gelato place, and the woman looks me up and down and she goes, "You know, I could give you a job if you need a little help." This was me already making multiple six figures a year, but the perception. And also, I didn't want to give them any reason or excuse to come for my child. So I showed up correctly, which is actually proper English. I showed up correctly. Is it Candace? Candace L. Davis? Let us know. And I I get there early because early is on time is late is never, right? Marine Corps 15 minutes prior. So I get there early. They make me wait, which is fine. No problem. Our meeting was for 8:01. They saw me past the 8:01 and that was fine. First thing I say, thank you so much for seeing me. We sit down. So it's the teacher and the CRT, which is like kind of the mediator, if you will. She's an administrator. So the teacher's like, well, I was really surprised. So, and she kind of like looks at me and I said, well, again, I understand that a child's perception is not necessarily reality. So I would love to open it up the floor to you for you to tell me what my child may or may not be doing that you think is causing these issues. That's what I said, just like that. Listen, I'm going to say my tone remained neutral the whole time. And I just sat back. Okay, let's talk about body language for a second. And these are things that we talk about in permission to offend. So let's talk about body language. So body language, I sat back, arms open. This is an open posture right here. Okay. It's a very inviting because if I were to lean in and put my elbows on the table folded, now this is defensiveness, right? This is combative. So I was very intentional to sit back. And here is when the teacher comes out and says, I was so surprised. Valentina's a wonderful student. In fact, I never really hear anything from her. Okay. The teacher goes on to talk, and then she says, the problem is she doesn't do her work. And that's true. I said, I am aware of that, and I agree with you. And I'm glad that we're having this conversation. Here's my understanding. My understanding is that she's asked questions before, and when she has asked you questions, you have been condescending or belittling. And on one or a couple of occasions, you said, well, if you don't understand, I don't know what to tell you. So is that true? Now, do you remember that song? I could tell you're lying because when you deny it, stutter, 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 stutter. This lady started stuttering. Well, so in my mind, I'm like, okay, I have your number. In my mind, I hit te conozco bacalao. Okay, I know you codfish. I see you. But I didn't say anything. I just let her talk. Long story short, we're in there for about 45 minutes, and this is I bring out to her all the evidence that I have. And I said, well, what about, there's some concern that you have favorites and that you, by your own admission, said that so and so was your favorite. And she goes, I didn't. I said, you didn't say that so and so was your favorite when you were asked between this kid and this kid. You didn't say that. Listen, I felt like a lawyer for a second. I said, you didn't say that? And then she goes, oh, well, I was being sarcastic. Now, this is the second time that the teacher is admitting to me that she has a history and a pattern of sarcasm. Ma'am, you're working with eighth graders. Granted, these are gifted kids. These eighth graders are taking a 10th grade math class. So there's a lot of pressure on them. But everything that this woman is telling me is just confirming that she is condescending and sarcastic. I don't say anything. In fact, at one point in the conversation, I even say to her, I want to work this out. So whatever it is that she hasn't done, I have already said to her, my child, that she needs to get it together and she has until Friday to get it. Whatever you're willing to accept from her, she's going to get that buttoned up and turned in. My husband and I are working together I said, I can't help her with math. That's not my strength, but my husband is great at math. We're going to do this. This is what we are doing as the home front. What can we do in the classroom? Excuse me. I'm cutting out some of these things because so finally, excuse me, I take responsibility for my kids in action. And then we all agree that it now is time to bring my daughter into the conversation so that everybody's on the same page. As soon as my daughter gets in, oh, don't cut it. Okay, I won't cut it short. So another thing that the teacher said was that in the classroom that these kids are gifted, and so they're very competitive with each other. And she's like, so they'll even call each other stupid. And I know my face said something. I didn't say anything, but when she said that, I went like this, like. And she goes, I tell them to stop. No, you don't. No, you don't. You didn't say, I constantly have to tell these kids not to. No, you said, I tell them to stop when you saw my face that said, excuse me, what? Okay. Listen, this whole time, this is how I'm sitting, y'all. Okay, I understand. Okay, I'm leaning in with interest. I'm listening. And then I explained, I said, listen, I think that one of the reasons that my child does not come to you for help, and I begin to explain some personal things that is my daughter's business, so I'm not going to share that with you here. But now this is where I was disobedient to God, because God said to me, don't tell this woman anything about your daughter. And I heard it. That was at the beginning. I heard the Lord say, don't tell this woman anything about your daughter. But then when she said something, she disarmed me, because at one point she was like, well, Miss Luna, yeah, let's do this. And like she was trying to really make me feel whatever. And so I shared with her something. I was like, well, I think that one of the reasons is, and man, as soon as the words came out of my mouth, I was like, and so I stopped talking, but I had already said a little more than I wanted to say. Definitely more than the Holy Spirit. So for my prayer warriors, please pray right now that that woman get amnesia concerning that conversation, especially that part of the conversation, and that she cannot remember anything to weaponize it against my baby. So God was right. God is never wrong. That's for sure. So we bring my child in. And the CRT, the administrator, goes, okay, so, Mom and Miss B and I were talking, and I want to know, what do you think you need to do to turn this around? She did that. She put her finger like this at my baby. Y'all, you do not even understand the level of self-control that I had to exercise right at that moment, because that's not what we discussed. The kid walks in, has a seat. She's sitting in front of three adults. It's three adults to her. And this woman put her finger and wagged her finger in my baby's face. And internally, I'm saying, Rachel, relax. Take a breath and relax. Do not come out of your face. Let her finish talking. Give Auntie Sandra is saying, deep sighs. I'm about 6 hours drive. So if I leave now, and Melissa says I'm already driving. Okay. So, but I didn't say anything because, again, for those of you that don't understand my perspective, you have to understand that I'm a woman of color and I'm sitting around with these two white, where everyone, the main administrators are all white. And I'm not one to usually be all about the race, but there is a perception of Puerto Ricans, and I can very well easily live up to that loud mouth, get in your face, break my neck, and come at you so close that I won't put hands on you, but you might think I did because of how close and in your face I get. You will be smelling what I ate for brunch. Like, that's how close I'm gonna get into your face. Anyway, so I don't want to be what they think we are, because I am educated and I know how to have decorum and I am articulate and I know how to speak and I know how to be the empathetic offender. So she does that. And my daughter answered, and then she went again to start with the wag. And that's when I said, "Hold on a second. I don't mean to interrupt you." I turned to my daughter, I said, "I want to hear from you, because what I'm seeing right now is that there's a lot of, finger pointing, and it's almost as if we're talking at you. And that's not why we called you down here. This is supposed to be a collaborative conversation. So I want to hear what you have to say and what is your commitment to making things right in the classroom. And I also want to know what you need, so that you feel safe in the classroom, because this is your opportunity to advocate for yourself." Now, when I said that, the the two ladies I saw them exchange a glance, but at this point, I'm not concerned with them. I'm concerned with my child. So, and by the way, I gotta go. I have a call in like 8 minutes, so I'm gonna try to wrap this up. So anyway, so the teacher, my daughter says what she has to say about, how this is what she said. She said, "I don't like it when, if I have a question, you shout at me from across the room. I would rather either like you come to me or I come to you," which is a reasonable request. Nobody likes to be singled out, especially in a hyper competitive class where people are calling each other stupid. I get it. And the teacher goes, "Okay, well, but there is review and these 2 days and you're out a lot." She's not out a lot, but in this quarter, we have had several doctor's appointments. So I'll give it to her in this quarter. So she says, "But I'll try." This is what she said. She goes, "I'll try to remember the next time you're out, maybe make a note for myself to go and ask you what you need and then me help you." Now, she said it with just enough of a tone that if you're thinking the best of her, you don't hear the tone. If you're thinking the worst of her, you heard the tone on 1,000. Okay. So I don't know. But when she said that, this is where I jumped in and I said, "Listen, hold on a second now." And I looked at my daughter and said, "No, that's not her responsibility. She has 16 other kids in the class that she's responsible for. So if you miss work, I want your commitment that you are going to go to her and ask for what you missed. Is that fair?" And my kids said yes. And I even looked at the teacher. I said, you should not be chasing students down. I don't think that that's your responsibility. So here I am, even giving her the pass and saying like, "No, don't go out of your way, but let's just have a mutual understanding that you're not going to be I didn't say this. This is you and I talking. But I say, I just want to make sure that she's taking accountability for her actions." Okay. So we end it all with, yeah, she was very condescending. I'll try to remember. So we end it all with that my kid is going to do her work, that if she has questions, she'll go up to the teacher or the teacher will come beside her, but the teacher will not shout across the room, will not do any singling out. Um, and that if my kid misses any school or classes, that it's her responsibility to get with the teacher to get the work. We are done with the meeting. I turn to her, I shake her hand, I say, "Thank you so much for your time. I'm really looking forward to a fresh, clean slate." And I looked at my daughter and I said, "Fresh, clean slate, right? We're just going to start from the beginning and we're going to have a great turn this around for the year." That's how we ended. I shake the hand of the administrator. We leave. I call my husband and I'm like, "It went great. I think we're all on the same page. I think it's going to go well." So I come back home. I go about my business. La, 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 la. Todo bien, right? Pedro por mi casa. I pick up my daughter. I say, "How did it go today?" And she goes, "Well, Miss B walked into the second period and said, 'I'm sorry, I'm tardy, class. I was dealing with an unreasonable parent.'" I'm sorry. She said, "What?" I said, "Who said that?" And my daughter's like, "So and so friend." Now, so and so friend is not a liar, is a very by the book kid. Okay. The kid that was in the class that witnessed this is not a liar. She's not an exaggerator. She's like one of the straightest, narrow kids you're ever gonna meet. I believe that kid. I said, "I'm sorry." I said, Text her right now and ask her if she's pranking you. Is this a joke? Because I am going to have words with this teacher." And so we ask again, and the kid is like, "No, she did say that." Okay. I said, "Well, how did it go in your class?" Then my kid says, "It was fine. She didn't say anything to me, but one kid did ask a question. One kid was sitting at their seat and asked a question. And the teacher said, 'Well, come over here because I know some students don't like it when I shout answers across the room.'" Girl, okay, so you want to meet Rachel Rodriguez. So you want to know who So you want to know who Rachel Rodriguez is, right? So you want to know who unsaved, don't go to church, Rachel Rodriguez is. Because that's what you're telling me. There was no empathetic offender. The wounded offender was in full effect. I was so angry. And I'm just so grateful. Shout out to my church, Legacy House, and my pastor, Pastor Clay, who just did a sermon called "I Declare War on Words." And we talked about how your words can either tear someone down or build someone up. And I started thinking about everything that the good book, the Holy Bible says, and how the Word of God says that if someone does you wrong, turn the other cheek. And I said, "God, why? Why would you want me to turn the other cheek? Why would you want me to take this abuse? Why would you want me to allow my daughter to take this abuse?" Then I started thinking about everything that I stand for, everything that I believe, everything that I value, everything that I wrote in this book, Permission to Offend. And what I wrote in Permission to Offend was that we don't have to lose our cool. We don't have to be who we once were. We can be articulate and empathetic and compassionate and still stand our ground and make a case. And so I started to play out the scenario. How do I want this to end? If I say something, what does that do? Does it make it better for my child? Does it change this woman who must obviously be so hurt that she does not even know how to make it one day without rude, sarcastic, condescending, belittling remarks? She didn't even make it 15 minutes. How hurt must she be? How broken down? Who must have been talking to her this way her entire life for her to be an educator of 30 years and still not have learned a thing about how to interact with children and how to uplift children, especially the gifted ones that have the potential to go, all children, not just the gifted ones, but in that class especially, I mean. And so I thought about, if my identity is rooted in the love of Jesus Christ, like what would truly, this is so cliche, but what would Jesus do? What would be the most pleasing thing that I could do in the eyes of the Lord right now? And it is not to go out for blood and attack this woman and get real Boricua style on her. It's not to take off my earrings. It's not to like lose my cool, but rather it is to do what we said we're going to do here in this house. And what we said we were going to do is my kid is going to do all of her work, and she's going to raise her hand, and she's going to go, and she is going to continue to comport herself in the character in which we have decided we operate, from which we have decided that we operate. I'm going to show love. And what is love? Love is kind, love is caring, love is compassionate, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it does not keep record of wrongs. And that is not easy for me. That's not something that's innate. You saw what innate me would do, right? The sinful nature in me would just go off. But it doesn't serve anything for me to match her bad behavior with more bad behavior. Rather, I tell an entertaining story to you. We have a good laugh about it. And I'm going to pray for that woman. I'm going to pray that her eyes would be opened to the missed opportunity that she has to be a hope dealer in the lives of these young children. I'm also going to be praying relentlessly against the demonic spirits that clearly reside in her. And I'm going to continue to show my daughter that we rise up, and that when people try to come for us, we don't come back for them with attitude. We come back with success. We come back as winners. So you're going to say what you're going to say. You're going to try to make your comments, but you're not going to tear either of us down, because we will continue to serve the Lord, to give God the glory, and to say, you tried it. You tried to get me to do bad, but you didn't succeed. I'm about my Father's business. I heard a saying that if the devil can't make you busy, he'll make you bad. Well, the Lord had me covered. Look, I got to get into this call. The Lord had me covered. Keep your eyes peeled for retaliation. I pray against the spirit of retaliation right now. I come against the spirit of retaliation in the name of Jesus. And I say, you have no authority over me. I am impenetrable, covered by the blood of Jesus. What retaliation could there be? She already did everything. She already came out swinging. So they have their own wounds. Yes, Kiki says, pray for those who persecute you. So I'm going to pray for her sincerely, genuinely, honestly. And I'm going to pray for the children, that their hearts and their minds and their spirits be guarded, right? Their souls, their precious little self-worth be guarded. I really have to go. Darn, I want to chat with you, but I said I was going to be on this other call that started 3 minutes ago. So I really got to go. Listen, if you enjoyed these live testifies with Tuesdays, let me know in the chat. And maybe we could do this, like make this a every Tuesday type of thing. I don't know. Let me know if you want to see that. Share this with a friend so we can if we get 100 views, then I'll do it. If we get 100 views on this video, I'll do it more regularly. Okay. Thank you all. Love you. I'll read all the comments and comment later. Bye.